You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I am Kirk Mona, and I am joined today by Rachel Ginza and Victoria Thompson. We are all professional naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this.
Okay, I am starting things off this week, and I want to start with a news story. On July 13th, 2017, news broke of an event so momentous, so far-reaching in its implications that even you may have heard of it. A truck driver coming upon a construction site on a highway in Oregon hit his brakes too hard and skidded, and some of his cargo, 13 containers with a combined weight of about 7,500 pounds, tumbled onto the highway. One hit a car, and several of the containers broke open.
Oh, no.
Yeah. A four-vehicle pileup ensued, with luckily only one minor injury.
That's good.
Photographs of the scene, however, made their way around the world for
I know
one
what
reason.
This is.
I think I saw this.
I know what this is. Keep going.
The contents of the spilled containers?
Yep.
Hagfish.
Yes!
Oh, my gosh. This is not the one I was thinking of, but yeah, oh,
I
gosh.
need this one. Oh, I'm going to have to take this off my list. Oh, man.
Now, fish spilled all over the highway is pretty unusual, but it's not that extraordinary.
This was
Hagfish,
horrifying.
however, are very special. They're an unattractive kind of pinky gray color, and they look a lot like an eel, being kind of long and snaky with a flattened tail. But here I will quote the great Dr. Milton Love, author of Certainly More Than You Want to Know About the Fishes of the Pacific Coast.
I love
the
that
easiest
book.
way to tell the difference between a hagfish and an eel. I quote, "Look at the hand holding the fish. Is it completely covered in slime? Then it's a hagfish."
Okay.
Unquote.
Yeah. There's some really cool science going on with, you're going to talk about it, I'm sure, about hagfish slime.
Can I ask about the accident? Were these live fish? Or were
Yes,
they
they were live.
They were
live. Okay.
They were swarming across the whole thing. There's so much slime.
Hagfish, when they are stressed, threatened, or feeding, produce truly astounding quantities of a very thick, mucousy slime.
Or I'm going to guess in a car accident.
Yeah, thus they were stressed out in the car accident, and all the cars and the road involved in this accident were covered not only in the fish, but in copious amounts of slime. The pictures truly are amazing.
Gross. I'm just so ecstatic right now.
I'm happy for you, Rachel. So other than not an eel, what is a hagfish? Not that much is known about them, but what is known is very strange. I'm only going to have time to touch on some of this stuff. I'm skipping some entirely strange things. It is a fish, but it's a very strange one. They are part of the group of jawless fishes, along with lampreys. It is a vertebrate, but it has no actual backbone. If you remember any of this stuff from like 9th grade biology, there's like a few vertebrates that don't actually have a backbone. It has a notochord and some sort of cartilage, sort of protovertebrae.
Oh, that does ring a bell,
Yep.
It has a skull made of cartilage, and these are in fact the only known animals with a skull, but without a backbone.
Huh.
Yeah. They are mainly scavengers, but as noted, they have no jaws and therefore no teeth. They have this, it's a cartilage plate in their mouth with kind of raspy tooth-like projections on it, and they use it
That sounds lovely.
Yeah,
It's
they're
horrifying.
really not
It's
attractive
awesome.
animals. They have these little sort of tentacly things around their mouth too. It's kind of gross.
I just wish everyone could see like all the hand gestures and facial contortions you're doing right now to try to explain this that aren't coming through.
Yeah, it's really helpful on a podcast.
Yeah.
Tentacle face.
Tentacle face. So they use those the plate to scrape their food, and weirdly, unlike us vertebrates whose mouths open up and down, their mouths open side to side.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, this is super weird. They can absorb nutrients through their skin actually more efficiently than they absorb them through their gut. So they could just go hang out inside a fish carcass, for example.
So
and
more efficiently.
that's what Wikipedia told me.
Oh, okay. They never lie.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can verify that. I've heard of that. I listened to a podcast that had a person who literally all they did was study hagfish, and they also said that. So, yeah.
So it's the truth. Their skin is very loose and flaccid, if I may use a word.
Oh,
I mean, you can use that word, but
can
we'd all
you
prefer
use
you
a different
didn't.
word?
I did use that word.
Uh,
And it's only actually attached to their flesh along the center of their back and at the
Oh.
slime glands, which run along the sides of their bodies.
I don't like that.
So, yeah. So if a predator tries to bite them, I mean, something
Sure.
else happens later. But first, if they like get a grip on the skin, the flesh of their body actually kind of squishes out of the way. And
Right.
then when they're attacked, the hagfish, of course, release their slime,
right.
which is pretty amazing at clogging up the mouth and the gills of the attacker. So they have to let go or be
Oh.
suffocated.
Yep.
oh, yeah.
Their slime is
Awesome.
so amazing that it can actually affect the hagfish's own gills.
Hmm.
And so to de-slime themselves, the hagfish ties itself into an overhand knot and then runs the knot down the length of its body to squeegee off the slime.
That's
There are also
awesome.
videos of this on YouTube.
It's beautiful.
Yes. So we want to talk more about the slime, obviously.
Yes.
It is really a very unusual substance. It consists of mucus and protein threads, and the threads will spread out quickly in this tangled mass, which traps the mucus and then water, because they live in the water, obviously.
Okay.
And it expands hugely. A hagfish can slime an entire 5-gallon bucket of water quite easily, but a hagfish excreting just 40 milligrams of this mucus protein mixture can create a liter of slime. That's how much.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 40 milligrams is not very much. And the slime is very soft. Jello is at least 10,000 times stiffer than hagfish slime.
Oh, wow.
Think
Cool.
about that. And if you have a bucket with a hagfish and the slime, it just looks like water until you try to pick it up, when you realize that it's definitely not
All
just
slime.
Okay.
So you
All
can
slime
lift a
all the
handful of
time.
it out of a bucket. Sorry, what was that, Rachel?
All slime all the time.
All slime all the time. Unlike snot, which it otherwise very much resembles,
Ah.
it is not
Sure.
sticky. So you can easily just like wipe it off your hand and drop it in another bucket.
Cool.
Interesting.
And these protein strands in the slime are really amazing. They're thinner than a human hair and stronger than nylon and quite flexible. And so hagfish slime is actually a hot topic in materials science research.
Right,
'Cause-
I bet.
Yeah, they're looking at it as for different possible applications, including different types of fabric and possibly even body armor.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
In addition, hagfish have other uses to the human. If you're wondering why that truck was carrying so many barrels of hagfish to begin with, they are considered a delicacy in South Korea.
Oh.
Yeah. And if you've ever heard of or used an eel skin, quote unquote, bag or wallet, apparently this is a thing. That eel is actually a hagfish.
All right.
Yeah. Another name for them is slime eel, appropriately,
That's
although
fair.
inaccurately.
Right.
That's about all I have. If you want to learn more about hagfish and their slime, I highly commend Ed Young's wonderful 2018 article in The Atlantic entitled "No One is Prepared for Hagfish Slime."
No, they aren't. I love hagfish. This is great. I love this. Thank you, Victoria.
That has become very obvious to us during this podcast recording,
Indeed,
Rachel.
yep.
And when we get back from the break, it's going to be Kirk.
Kirk here with a quick note. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. It helps other lovers of the strange find our show. You can also find and follow us on social media. Search for Strange by Nature Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or come visit us at strangebynaturepodcast.com. We'll see you there. Now, back to the show. So we are back, and I want to, last week I talked about this amazing planet we live on, and it was fun to think about some of the extremes of like weather and things. Our planet is a pretty familiar place, but it can sometimes feel almost like an alien world when we hear about some of the extremes, extreme places, extreme animals, extreme plants, extreme weather, things like that. So I thought it'd be kind of fun this week as to kind of contrast with the extremes I talked about last week. I have more extremes for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, but I thought it'd be fun to go off planet and talk about some off planet extremes. So we're gonna start off here in our solar system, close to the sun, and we're gonna look at Mercury. So Mercury is the closest planet to our sun. It can reach temperatures of 800 degrees Fahrenheit when you're in the sun on Mercury. In the backside away from the sun, it's going to get down to, I should say, negative 290 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's
so those temperatures,
quite
so
a temperature
cold.
swing there, Kirk.
That is a swing. So that's 450 centigrade in the sun and negative 180 centigrade at night for our centigrade obliging populace listening.
Well,
So that is a 1,090 degree swing in Fahrenheit, or in centigrade, a 630 degree swing. This is the largest surface temperature range of any planet in our solar system. And, I thought it was a big deal a couple weeks back when we had like a 40 degree swing in one day here at home, but
right.
1,090 degrees kind of
Puts it in perspective.
puts that a bit to shame. Yeah.
Well, doesn't Mercury, isn't its rotation of the day slow enough that it circles the sun before it finishes a rotation around for a day?
Yeah, it's a little complicated. I mean, you'll find some stuff online that says that Mercury is tidally locked to the sun, so the same side always faces the sun, and it's not. It's a little more complicated than that, but basically the hot side is mostly in the sun, and then there's a side that's mostly in the shade for most of its time, I believe.
Okay.
But it's definitely not spinning around day night kind of thing.
Got it.
So we're not talking about a temperature extreme in the same spot in the course of a day. It's from one side of the planet to the other.
Right.
So I guess we talked last week. We do have a bit of an extreme on Earth from the high and low temperature we saw, but still nothing like that. Now, 800 Fahrenheit seems hot, but it's not the hottest. The surface of Venus actually gets a little bit hotter, even though it's further from the sun, because of like sort of the greenhouse effect that's going on Venus. It can get up to 880 degrees Fahrenheit or 470 C. But there are even hotter places, but just not necessarily on a surface of a planet, because there's only so many of the rocky planets. But when you start going into the cores of some like the gas giants like Jupiter,
Right.
Oh, wow. The core of Jupiter is thought to be hotter than the surface of the sun due to the enormous pressures that are there.
Whoa.
Jupiter's core is 43,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
I have no
My
concept
mind
for that
doesn't
number.
really compute
No,
that.
no, it doesn't. I'll give it in Celsius, but that won't help. It's 24,000 Celsius. Giving the numbers in both units of measure becomes meaningless because they're both so large, and we have no frame of reference for them. I can't really even talk about things that might be a frame of reference, like a melting point or something like that, because if you look at the highest melting point element we know of is tungsten. It has a melting point of 3,414 centigrade or 6,177 Fahrenheit, but that is cold, like ice cold compared to the core of Jupiter. So
Right.
again, it doesn't really help us. So I talked earlier about how on Mercury you had a big temperature swing, but that was a swing from the different temperatures on the surface. There's obviously a much larger temperature variant on Jupiter, but it's not like a surface temperature because it's all just clouds.
Right.
So when you look at the upper cloud layers of Jupiter, you're talking about negative 145 Celsius or 234 negative Fahrenheit. So that is the largest temperature range in our solar system you find on Jupiter. Now, temperature is interesting, but let's look at some other weird stuff. I want to talk about the really weird stuff here.
Let's go.
We're used to the rain here on Earth.
Right.
And sure, like a cold rain might ruin your picnic. But imagine if it wasn't raining water, but it was raining sulfuric acid.
Well, that would really ruin your picnic.
Yeah, that's going to ruin your picnic. It rains sulfuric acid on Venus.
Of course
it does.
Of course it does, yes. Now, I will say, though, it's not going to ruin your picnic. It's not guaranteed not to ruin your picnic because keep in mind, surface temperature can be 880 degrees Fahrenheit. So this sulfuric rain that's falling down evaporates long before it gets to the surface. So you don't need to worry about that. If you're descending to the surface, you got to go through the sulfuric rain. But the 880 degrees Fahrenheit and the atmosphere that's mostly carbon dioxide is going to probably be a bigger problem for your picnic.
I think the chocolate icing on your cookies is going to have melted by then, probably.
Might a little bit.
Yeah.
If you can get it through your spacesuit.
Right. The sulfuric rain stops at about 25 kilometers up, is where it gets hot enough that it's going to evaporate. So that is kind of a bummer for your picnic.
A little bit.
Now, this might cheer you up a little bit after your bummer trip to Venus. How about we saunter on over to Neptune? Neptune is one of the gas giants, and the atmosphere is mostly hydrogen, but there's a lot of methane, and it tends to get concentrated at the equator. And then it starts to descend into these hotter, lower levels of the atmosphere, and it gets compressed. And scientists have shown if you compress methane enough, it turns into diamonds.
Ooh. Cool.
Those and the pressures we believe are sufficient, and the temperatures in Neptune's atmosphere, also in Uranus as well, it could literally rain diamonds. As they precipitate out, they get heavy and they sink down, to the core. So right now it is probably raining diamonds. I'll just go with Neptune in this example. So yeah, there's a diamond rain.
That'd be fun. It would hurt.
Right. This may actually be kind of common in the universe when you think about it. How many gas giant planets there are that probably have methane in their atmospheres. Diamond rain is probably like a very common thing in the universe. Things are, pretty like we think of diamonds as being kind of rare on Earth. That's only because the conditions to make them are not common, right? So if the conditions to make them are common, they're going to be super common. Some scientists have actually speculated that there could be planets that are made entirely of diamonds.
So that episode of Doctor Who wasn't that far-fetched.
Right, there you go. Known. Or at
what
least they can have like
that was.
They could at least have like a diamond crust, which is pretty wild. But again, I don't think these are places you necessarily want to visit because the conditions that are appropriate to make those things would also make it inhospitable to humans. So there is an exoplanet 55 Cancri E, which is about 40 light years away, and scientists do believe it might be one of these diamond encrusted planets based on some of the data we've gotten back. So thinking about, an abundance of elements that might be rare on Earth that could be common elsewhere, astronomers also think they have detected the conditions right for atmospheres on exoplanets that would rain rubies or atmospheres that could rain sapphires as well.
That's so cool.
That is really cool.
It's really cool. Certainly none of these places are would be pleasant places we would want to visit unless we're with the doctor, I guess. But when it comes to other planets, they are certainly places that are strange by nature.
Oh.
There we go. We got the podcast title in. We're going to go to a break. And when we come back, Rachel has something special for us.
All right, we're back, and this week I'm going to bring us back down to Earth, more or less. Like we might be flying around a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm going to be talking about.
We're still on the planet.
We're still on the planet. Yes. Lanius ludovicianus is the animal I'm talking about today. So the name.
Okay.
The common name refers to the large head-to-body ratio of this bird. I'm talking about the Loggerhead Shrike today.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah.
Now, this is
Love the Loggerhead Shrike.
It's so good. So this is a perching, or also known as it's a passerine bird. So it's a perching or a songbird type bird in that category. It was first described in 1760 by Mathurin Jacques Bresson. Okay. It is a medium-sized songbird. I practiced. About 8 to 9 inches long. And the wingspan is anywhere from a little bit under 11 to 12.6 inches wide.
Mm-hmm.
Average weight is about 50 grams. To describe this bird, it's gray on the back of the head down through the back to the tail. The tail is white mostly with some black edging. It has like a black Zorro mask over its eyes that leads to a very black bill that's hooked at the end. So its top bill is longer than the bottom, and this helps tear into its prey. This bird, what makes it strange is its diet, and we're going to get into that. I really also want to tell you what its alarm call is, because it sounds like skra, kind of shriek. I wanted to just shriek into your ears. I hope you enjoyed it. So the Loggerhead Shrike is overall found throughout southern Canada, USA, and Mexico in open habitat like grasslands or pastures, especially with red cedar. Populations have declined since the 1960s, and there are about 7 recognized subspecies of Loggerhead Shrike, and 4 of those exist in California.
Wow.
Right? So, like I said earlier, what's really strange about the Loggerhead Shrike is its eating habits. And this is when I tell you what the other name for this bird is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's also known as the butcher bird.
Nice.
So this is going to get a little bit graphic. So this is a carnivorous bird.
That never happens on this show.
Never. So this is a carnivorous bird. It's not an actual bird of prey because its talons are much smaller and very weak compared to raptors, and one of the categories of a bird of prey. They're also more of a sit and wait hunter that perch about 13 feet high, and they stalk their prey, which I find terrifying.
I've usually seen them, or around here we more commonly see the northern shrike.
Right.
I usually see them on like telephone wires.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of one of their favorite places to hang out.
Yeah, and they mostly eat insects, like right in the air, but they will also eat arachnids, reptiles, amphibians, rodents, bats, and smaller birds. So the weight range that they can eat is anywhere from 0.00 grams to 25 grams, which is
quite a range.
half of their body weight.
Wow.
They're frequently observed killing prey that is larger than themselves. And what they do is they're sitting up in that tree, they're stalking, they're looking for a good prey, just seeing, and they see one. They see a mouse. So they fly, grab this animal by the neck, and spear it on a thorn or a barbed wire, a very sharp stick. right through the neck or head, both giving the prey whiplash and piercing through its vertebra and its back and its neck.
Oh, what a way to go.
Just, you get picked up by a bird and then you just get dropped on a spear. That sounds horrifying. Right.
It's better than being paralyzed and consumed from within by insect larvae, so.
That's true.
I mean, if that's our standard, it's a really low bar.
I came upon a Shrike's cached mouse once on a tree. It was pretty amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a Shrike's prey.
I would love to find them.
I've seen it once, maybe twice, and it's when you all of a sudden see it, you're like, wait, what? There's like
a mouse stuck on this stick.
Stuck on a branch, yeah.
Like, what's going on? Yeah, so they will use that stick or sharp object of sorts to store the food for later if it's too much. And they use that as an anchor because they can't tear with their talons, so they'll tear off pieces with their beak to eat, and they'll use it to anchor themselves so they can pull. Because their neck and their beak is very strong, actually. They have a really strong beak. With smaller prey, that is not maybe a mouse, maybe something smaller, maybe even a snake, because they've been known to even go after adders in some areas.
Wow.
They will use their beak, their really strong beak, and they will swoop down and cut the small vertebra and the neck of that prey. So they will use their beak to slice through the skin and bone and spinal cord to kill the prey. Yeah, absolutely pleasant. And if they find another bird that might be maybe found something and was about to enjoy their food, they're a bit of a kleptomaniac and will go and steal your food. So,
I mean, hey, free food, like,
might as well, right? Like,
yeah,
hey,
that's hard to come by.
Don't have to kill this, saving energy. Yeah, so that's what I have for you both today is the butcher bird.
The what?
The butcher bird.
Yeah, okay. It sounds like you said something else. I just want to clarify.
No. The butcher bird.
Butcher, yeah, let's keep it there.
Loggerhead
also
Shrike.
known as the Loggerhead Shrike. Horrifying.
Thanks, Rachel.
Oh, they are majestic and beautiful.
They are beautiful. They kind of remind me of a larger chickadee in their shape. A little bit. Okay.
And that's all for this week, folks. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all of our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star review, that would be great. It lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach out to us on social media by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can also check out our website, which is strangebynaturepodcast.com. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange.
They are making their way the only way they know how. That's like a terrible Dukes of Hazzard reference. We're just going to take that right out.
I'm just going to say it. You can use this as an outtake if you want to. It's raining diamonds in Uranus.
Yep.
And with that, I actually need to go to the bathroom really badly.